You believe that children are being abused by pedophiles in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
So why are you sitting down talking to me? Why aren't you sitting down with the police right now?
I've told the police. In fact, if anybody wants to go back to 1993 when I was interviewed by the Santa Barbara Police Department, I sat there and I gave them the names. They're on record. They have all of this information.
That's insane thinking. I'm paranoid. I imagined that stuff. That couldn't be the reason for why so-and-so was acting like. Could it? And then you find out later on the track that you are exactly on track with a lot of this.
Of human hunting. And when a mind-controlled slave such as myself was stripped of clothes and turned loose in the woods, I was then hunted by George Bush, Dick Cheney, and Bill Clinton.
Saying that there are people that were the people that did this to both me and Corey that are still working, they're still out there, and they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
And they are.
And they do not want me saying what I'm saying right now.
Are you saying that they're pedophiles?
Yes.
And that they're still in this business?
They called him crazy. They called him dangerous. They destroyed his career and erased him from Hollywood like he never existed. But what if Mel Gibson wasn't the villain they painted him to be? What if he was trying to warn us all along? Because right now, as over 3 million Epstein files flood the internet, as names you know and faces you trust appear in documents so disturbing they can't even be fully released, one man's name keeps coming up, not as an accomplice, not as a participant, but as someone who saw it all decades ago and tried to tell us. The same man Hollywood buried, the same man they mocked, the same man who just produced a film that's suddenly looking less like fiction and more like a documentary. This isn't just about a comeback. This is about vindication. And the truth? It's more terrifying than you can imagine. Let's rewind. For years, Mel Gibson was untouchable, box office gold, A-list royalty. Then suddenly, he wasn't. The industry didn't just distance themselves from him. They blackballed him, erased him, made him a cautionary tale, whispered in production meetings and studio lots. The official story? Controversial remarks, problematic behavior. The narrative was set in stone. Mel Gibson was done, and he deserved it. But here's what they didn't want you asking. Why was a man who spoke out about Hollywood's darkest secrets in the 90s suddenly persona non grata? Why did his exile feel less like consequence and more like punishment? Rumors swirled for years. Whispers behind closed doors that Mel's real crime wasn't what he said on a recording. It was what he refused to do. Alleged ritualistic activities, secret gatherings, things that would make your stomach turn. And when he said no, when he walked away, they made sure he'd never work again. But Mel didn't stay silent. Even in exile, he kept talking. In 1998, a video surfaced that's now going viral again, where he spoke about entering Hollywood at 25 and feeling profoundly uncomfortable with what he witnessed. He described seeing things that made his skin crawl while everyone around him acted like it was normal, like it was just part of the business. The media response? They called him unstable, paranoid, a conspiracy theorist before that term became weaponized. He was canceled before canceling even had a name. Studios refused to touch him. Projects evaporated. His warnings were dismissed as the ramblings of a troubled mind. Yet Mel persisted. When no studio would fund The Passion of the Christ in 2004, he financed it himself. $25 million of his own money. They said it would fail. They said it was career suicide. It made over $600 million worldwide. He clawed his way back from oblivion, but the industry never forgave him. And when he called Hollywood the modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah, they made sure everyone knew he was the problem, not what he was exposing. Now, fast forward to today. Jeffrey Epstein is the #1 trending topic across every platform. The Department of Justice has released files, not dozens, not hundreds, over 3 million documents, videos, and images. And this allegedly isn't even everything. Sources claim the withheld evidence is so explosive, so deeply disturbing, that releasing it would turn the entire country upside down. What's already out there is nightmare fuel. Thousands of videos, images involving young girls, content so horrific that even those reporting on it can't bring themselves to describe it in detail. And then there's the email, the one attributed to Epstein himself, cold and calculated, describing children like seafood. They are like shrimp. You throw away the top, keep the body. Let that sink in. This isn't conspiracy. This isn't theory. These are documents, evidence, reality. But here's what's keeping people up at night. Where are the arrests? Epstein is dead, or is he? Speculation runs rampant that he's alive somewhere somewhere, protected, relocated. Ghislaine Maxwell sits in what insiders describe as a luxury prison, more resort than cell. The man they vilified, the man they silenced, because suddenly people are remembering what he said, what he tried to expose, and they're looking at his recent work through a completely different lens. Sound of Freedom, a $14.5 million film that nobody expected to succeed, directed by and starring Jim Caviezel, the same actor who played Jesus in Mel's controversial Passion of the Christ. A film about child trafficking, about fake talent scouts luring children with promises of stardom, about elite networks operating in plain sight, about a man who risks everything to save one child from a nightmare the world refuses to acknowledge. The film grossed over $250 million. It struck a nerve, but when it was released, critics dismissed it, called it sensationalist, accused it of pushing conspiracy theories. Some even suggested it was dangerous. Now people are watching it again and seeing something different. They're seeing the parallels, the fake modeling scouts, just like the ones in the Epstein files, the disturbing parties with powerful people, just like the ones described in depositions, the systematic abuse happening while the world looks away, just like what's being exposed right now. Was Sound of Freedom just a movie, or was it Mel Gibson's way of continuing to warn us, knowing that this day would come? Here's what we're facing now. For years.
And then you go away and you think, no, I was wrong. I mean, that's insane thinking. I'm paranoid. I imagined that stuff. That couldn't be the reason for why so-and-so was acting like. Could it? And then you find out later on the track that you are exactly on track with a lot of this stuff. Not specifically on track, but that you could, that some of your worst nightmares were real. And about the people in it that were like, surely that couldn't be. Because a whole place can't be like, Weird Town, where the stranger wanders in and all the people are in the bar and they all shut up when he looks at them and they tell you don't go into the house on the hill. And it's like that. A whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
They don't.
And and I formed a bunch of...
Mel Gibson was the cautionary tale, the example of what happens when you go too far, say too much, break the unwritten rules. The industry replaced him with controllable figures, people who would play the game, stay in line, keep their mouths shut. Jim Caviezel saw it too, started speaking out, started making choices that put him on the outside looking in. And most terrifyingly, if files this damning can be released and still result in no arrests, no justice, no accountability for anyone except the man who allegedly ran the operation, what does that tell us about who really holds power? The Epstein files aren't just about one man's crimes. They're a window into a world that operates by different rules. A world where the powerful can do the unthinkable and face no consequences. A world that Mel Gibson tried to warn us about 30 years ago. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Was Mel Gibson trying to expose this all along? Or is this just convenient timing? Does this vindicate everything he's been saying for decades? Or are we connecting dots that aren't really there? And here's the real question. Will this revive his career? Or is Hollywood still too powerful, still too invested in the narrative they created about him to ever let him truly come back? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me if you think Mel was the whistleblower they tried to silence, or if you think there's more to this story. And if you want to go deeper into what's really happening behind the scenes, click the video on your screen right now, because this is just the beginning. The files are out, the truth is spreading, and nothing is going to be the same. Hit that subscribe button, because we're not done digging, not even close.